WEF demands government censor negativity. That's right. That's the next thing they're trying to censor is negativity, whatever that means. It's a broad category, just as broad as misinformation. This is their game plan. They want to censor anything that anytime anyone speaks against the globalists, they want to be able to shut that speech down. So now that's why they're calling it negativity now. This is their plan, is to shut down free speech. And we got a bunch of leftists that will of course follow suit. We already seen it. We already know that they've been doing it with so-called misinformation. But again, negativity is even broader. So we gonna talk a little bit about that. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my merch store. Also, check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for news as well. All right, let's talk about this news. Got another article from Slay News' the great Frank Bergman, and he reports that the World Economic Forum, or WEF, is calling on global governments to crack down on citizens expressing so-called negativity online. The WEF claims that members of the public must be censored if they express, quote, negativity, because the unelected globalist organization is apparently concerned that such behavior could make people unhappy. No, your policies is what making people unhappy, and that's what you really want to censor. You want to censor information, any type of quote unquote negative information pertaining to whatever you guys are trying to push. That's what's actually making people unhappy. Your policies. But the Switzerland-based elitist group alleges that negative information online can lower happiness levels in people who see it. Wow. So you telling me that you taking away people's ability to eat real meat, to eat beef and stuff like that? It makes them feel negative. Who would have thought that? Who would have thought stopping or making people eat bugs will have a negative effect on them? You see where we're going here? You see how they're gonna make they're gonna censor all of that stuff? But in response, the WEF claims that negativity, which is now groups with so-called disinformation, must be censored by governments. The WEF made the call in its new report on declining happiness levels among young people. The report is accompanied by their suggestions for making humans happier. No, I think what's happening right now is because of things like TikTok, young people are actually waking up to the globalist schemes because they're able to talk about it and hear other people express these things in short, bite-sized information. And people are getting this information and like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And so now a lot of the youth is fighting against these globalists. That's the problem. They want to censor that. But the suggestion for improving public happiness levels includes censoring people online if their posts are too negative and pressuring public compliance with the WEF's green agenda by promoting climate activism. There it is. There it is. So if you talk about how fake global warming is, how it's a scam to control and take power, they want to censor that. But quote, we live in a world where teenagers grapple with the sense of crisis before adulthood. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Are these the same teenagers that they're telling them that they can choose any gender they want? That's not confusing. That's not a crisis. But when they get information, that's the crisis to them. But it goes on to say, a time when young people historically beacons of optimism report lower happiness than their elders, the WEF argues in the report. Implementing stricter content, there we go, here we go. Implementing stricter content regulations and policies that limit the spread of negativity and misinformation is crucial, the WEF insists. The WEF further suggests all governments set global regulations for censoring negative speech and misinformation. Quote, international cooperation can ensure these reforms are implemented effectively across borders, creating a safer and more positive online environment for young people globally, the WEF asserts. The WEF adds that encouraging the public to engage in environmental activism will give people a sense of purpose. Here we go. So help us control the world by lying to people and telling people that they are creating a global warming and they need to stop eating meats and start eating bugs for the environment. That's what they're saying. However, while the latest report from the WEF suggests compliance with the green agenda should be encouraged, the group's recent messaging suggests it may not be quite so optional. Uh-oh. The daughter of Democrat President Joe Biden, former climate czar John Kerry, has warned that the days of allowing the general public to decide whether or not to comply with the WEF's net zero agenda are now over. Well, there's a thing. To pass these type of things, we have to go through Congress first. But they don't want to do that. They want to bypass Congress and implement this through regulations, which should be illegal. Although her jet-setting father left his role as the first United States Special President Envoy for Climate last month, Vanessa Carey still serves as the Special Envoy for Climate Change and Health for the World Health Organization. Both Vanessa and John Kerry also serve as key agenda contributors at the unelected WEF. Vanessa Carey is now warning that globalists must up the ante in order to force the tax-paying public to comply with net zero. Again, that's impossible. We don't have the technology, first of all, and net zero doesn't necessarily mean that the climate will get any better. I've showed the studies before that show that there's actually no correlation between um, CO2 and the temperature. In fact, the correlation is actually inverted from the studies that I've seen. Warm temperature actually makes the CO2 go up, not the other way around. But I digress. Now, according to the younger Kerry, complying with green agenda goals to save the planet from the climate crisis is no longer a choice. As Slate News had previously reported, to comply with the WEF's net zero targets, all members of the general public will need to stop eating meat and dairy products, give up air travel and private car ownership, live in cashless societies, use digital IDs to partake in society, consume only lab grown or plant and insect based foods, ration purchases of items such as clothing, pay huge taxes, accept a global government, and many other major restrictions on freedom, all for the environment, what they say. But we all know what this really is. In a statement on meeting with the WEF's target, Vanessa Carey said, quote, "We can and must make different decisions. We must accept that there is no other way forward than to phase out our reliance on fossil fuels. A study was released just a few days ago that shows that more than 8 million people a year die from air pollution, more than in the entire COVID pandemic," she claimed. One person dies every 4 seconds. So by the time I finish this sentence, another person will have died, and 61% of those deaths are directly attributed to fossil fuels. This is nonsense. Who really believes this? She doesn't believe this. But Carey didn't provide any supporting evidence to support these claims, however. Vanessa Carey then described, quote, "Simply mitigation and reduction of greenhouse gas emissions is no longer a choice." Who elected you? No one elected you. Where do you get this information from? Who put you in power? What have you? I mean, you have absolutely no skills. The only thing that you are is the daughter of John Kerry, and now you're lecturing us on what to do about the environment. I'm sick of these globalists. I'm so sick of these globalists. They're evil. Of course, the claims from the WEF that the organization is fighting to make people happier or to save the planet are just a front, of course. The WEF often touts its true agenda of eliminating most of the human race from Earth, leaving behind only a handful of so-called elites. I mean, I've showed the videos of a bunch of them talking about depopulation. That's their goal here. Depopulate for more control. And several WEF members have openly called for massive reduction in population. Some of those calls demand up to 90% of the population of humans to be wiped out. Censoring negativity has nothing to do with making people happy. It's about eradicating wrong think. They know in a head-to-head battle on facts, on science, they will lose. They will lose. So they, of course, they have to censor anyone that have alternative ideas and speak against what they're trying to push. Because in a battle of ideas, they will lose. So again, they will have to censor others other ideas. That's the only way to beat us, because they're getting slaughtered on social media. They're losing the young folks, and that's their only play. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.